Welcome to another episode of HCP Visits. Here's your host, Woody Watts.
This is Woody Watts, founder of Hill City Paranormal and lead investigator, and through the magic of social media, of connecting with some like-minded people, I am joined today by an Instagram, in my opinion, Instagram famous person known as Pretty Effin' Spooky. Am I right, Amanda?
Yep, that's it.
You know, I've been going through following and hashtagging, searching for people, and your feed instantly caught my attention, not only just because from a marketing visual standpoint, content-wise, you seem like a very interesting person, and I thought, hey, I would love to have her on this little podcast that we do. So thank you for allowing me to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah, of course, it's my pleasure.
Tell me how you started, or what was your first paranormal experience, and that kind of led you down the path of doing investigations.
Sure. So my first paranormal experience was back when I was 7 years old. So my paranormal experiences started pretty early on. I lived in this duplex with my family that I believed was haunted. My dolls at night would move on their own and things would move around and I'd have these terrible nightmares. And ever since then, I, started looking into what that was or what even the paranormal meant. And then when I was, I don't want to give away my age, but about 10 years ago, I joined a paranormal investigation group in Billings, Montana, with about 10 to 12 other people. And I learned how to do paranormal investigating from a more professional standpoint with them. We had, all of our own equipment. I learned all about how to take private investigation requests and all that. And that was great. I had a lot of experiences with them, but then I moved to Spokane, Washington, which is where I'm at now. And then, I've always been into the paranormal and had things happen. I've always gone out exploring and looking for paranormal encounters and things like that. But I didn't start honing in on marketing myself for investigations again until this year, actually. So I think it was in March, I started marketing myself for taking an investigation request as Pretty Effin' Spooky. I do it on my own, which is not necessarily by choice, although I enjoy investigating alone. But, I think some paranormal groups are kind of inclusive. And when I had a hard time joining one, I just decided to start one myself. So here we are today.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so walk me through that. Walk me through the process of how you would do a personal investigation and how you even were able to capture, leads or people contacting you. What was your method to do that? And then what's your investigative process?
Sure. So I guess my method now, just as an individual trying to field investigation requests, I have a website with a contact form. I do it for free, of course, which I think, I don't know. I mean, I do paranormal investigating partially for myself because I am curious and I want to find the truth, and then partially for people who are afraid or don't understand. Mm-hmm. But I have a website that takes contact forms. And then as far as my personal process, if I get an investigation request, so say somebody says my house is haunted, or let's say my office is haunted, can you come investigate it? Then I schedule time and I have some disclosures and things that I have them sign just to make sure that I'm legally entering a place after hours.
Sure.
And then I actually like to take a immersive approach to investigating, since it is just myself, but I have a good little ghost hunting kit. I have a few things in my kit that other people are welcome to use. So I like to have the people who are having me come investigate join in and do it with me if they're comfortable. Yeah.
No, that's so interesting. Okay. I love the fact that you actually include the person that called you in the investigation. So have you, during an investigation, have they ever experienced anything while with you?
I have had some people experience some things. The hard part about including other people who maybe aren't I don't want to say experienced, but like aren't as used to being in a room under these circumstances. It is easy to get scared, so but I do have people have their own experiences, and it's really rewarding to see them react to how the equipment like produces results or produces evidence, to explain to them this machine, an EMF detector, this is what it does. And if it does this, then, like, I don't know, it's just kind of like interesting to see their mind open up and kind of understand what it is a ghost hunter is really doing, instead of it just being what's in the media, like Ghost Adventures and stuff,
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you come from a standpoint of wanting to acquire video evidence of it, because I have recently this year been trying to work harder on obtaining that video evidence because for a long time I was just investigating without the intent of putting it on social media or putting it out there on YouTube or whatever. I did this for years and years without really caring about like archiving that on social media for people to see. And now I'm trying to do more of that.
Yes. Well, and the amazing thing is that we recently did these haunted history tours at our local academy that was renovated. It had burnt down back in 1911, and it opened up last year. It had been abandoned. It just went through a lot of, things. And then so we had this haunted history tour, and this was the first. I mean, there are paranormal groups in the area, but this is the first time I believe a paranormal group was actually, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but like out in the open. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the most amazing part of it, I'll tell you, is the fact of the stories that we hear after it. So yes, it was a fun experience, but the fact that it opens up a door where people feel comfortable enough to come up to a random stranger and then start sharing their stories that they've held on to for years. And then all of a sudden they walk up to us and then they share it, and then we're instantly asking questions, and just that's the part of the process that I'm enjoying so much more than what I thought I would.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is really valuable to be to be able to like obtain people's personal experiences and stories, and like also realizing how many people have those stories is just incredible. Like I think, and just makes me want to do it more. It's like if you tell somebody I'm a paranormal investigator, nearly everyone I tell has a story to tell about something that happened to them that they can't explain, which I absolutely love.
Yes. And the thing too is that we have a booth set up so that people can stop by after the tour. We also have a number that they can call and share their experiences, which after the first tour, people started calling. And then we had some people actually message us once they got home because they were still a little intimidated to talk to someone, but it instantly opened a floodgate. And you leave the event, basically glowing because people you've met a ton of new friends, and that all kind of share these experiences that they were, I don't want to say ashamed to bring up, but they were kind of embarrassed about before meeting a person that they could just talk to and not be made fun of, basically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's actually at the forefront of why I started my Instagram and my blog, was to find other like-minded individuals or people who wanted to not commiserate, but like I wanted to, I don't know, feel understood or feel accepted, or, a bunch of us in the paranormal field. I don't know, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but it is hard to not feel like weird or embarrassed of some stories like that before you really dive deeper into it. And so I love including all these other people into that. So that's really great.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So, how do you feel about the shows on television, like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Ghost International, all the Dead Files? What are your thoughts on those type of shows?
Gosh, I don't know. As far as being entertained goes, I love them. Like, I watch them. As far as them, like those shows being a representation of this entire field of work, or like, being the face for all of us. Like, I don't always love their approach. I think I worry most about shows like that, maybe falsifying evidence. I worry about any time that something comes up that maybe, that maybe was like exaggerated or something. And I hope that it doesn't take away from our credibility as a whole. But I don't know. Other than that, I'm entertained by them. By all. Yeah.
And so most people that watch those shows probably aren't the ones that are investigating, and then when they go investigate and they meet real life people, they kind of, you see both sides at that point. And that's what's been interesting for us as well. So, tell me give me an example of one of the most, I don't want to say intense, but like, one of the experiences that stand out to you, like one of your paranormal experiences that have stood out. It can be on investigation or personal experience that really affected you.
Okay. So I've told this story a couple times, but it's hard to ignore as like my number one experience that has really affected me over years of my life. But about, I think it would be like 12 years ago now, I did my first Ouija board session with a friend. And this is before I started paranormal investigating, but I had always had an interest in the paranormal and the occult and all of that. So I found a Ouija board at an antique store, and we decided to do the whole shebang. Like, we turned off the lights, unplugged everything in the apartment. Like, we did it 100%. And while we were doing the Ouija board session, it claimed that we had made contact with this male spirit from the 1800s. He was like a working man, this and that. It was saying that he was standing right behind me, and even said at one point that he wanted to marry me, which was bizarre. But that aside, that paranormal or that Ouija board session, it even escalated to a point where we were kind of joking around, and we were like, there was a fly buzzing in the room, kind of annoying us. And we said, hey, if you're really here, then will you make this fly go away? This fly is so annoying. And it flew right into our tea light candle and lit on fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, but that's not even the paranormal experience that is so much affected me over time. It's actually what happened after that. Soon after that, I began having sleep paralysis. So it started with the really typical story of how sleep paralysis goes, where there's a dark figure at the end of my bed, and I felt like I was like being held down and I couldn't move, and it was just so scary. And then I ended up having those experiences every night, and they began not transforming like the black figure was transforming, but eventually it would be that man from the Ouija board session standing in the corner of my room. One night I was sleeping, I fell asleep on the couch on my stomach, interestingly, because sleep paralysis often happens when you fall asleep on your back, but I fell asleep on my stomach with my hand kind of hanging off of the couch. And I remember very vividly what I thought was me waking up, and this 1800s man in like working clothes, overalls, came and kneeled beside me on the couch and held my hand. I remember feeling the cracks in his skin and like feeling exactly what it felt like to hold his hand. And then slowly he left, and I tried to crawl to the light to turn it on. And then when I turned the light on, I woke up. And ever since then, I've seen him at night. Like this is going into a whole nother thing. I guess it's not one instance in particular, but it's maybe the experiences I've had revolving around this spirit, or what I think might be maybe not a human spirit, like maybe kind of demonic. I'm not entirely sure, but that is definitely like a huge thing that I've dealt with my whole life that like really catapulted my interest in like investigating the paranormal and understanding it more.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that didn't scare you away. That actually, you were intrigued and wanted to find out more information about it then.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I was scared. I was
Mm-hmm.
very scared, but I think I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, probably. Like that feeling of
Mm-hmm.
being scared, I like to chase that, or I like to conquer it, I guess. So, I was scared, but I did want to know more, and I wanted to know, I guess, this is a little harsh, but I wanted to know how real it was. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
that real? Is it in my head? That's something I've struggled with my whole life is accepting or understanding if this is really happening, which is then when the evidence portion of being an investigator comes into play. I wanted to document it. I wanted it to be real. I wanted equipment to go off when it was near,
Yes.
so on. Yeah.
Wow. So, all right. All right. Bouncing off of that, tell me about, like, give me an example of something that you've documented. Like, when you go into investigate a place, can you give me examples of actual evidence that you've been able to gather?
Yeah. So on the smaller end of the spectrum, I've documented, like some shadow figures in pictures and some EVPs and things like that. I did visit the old Idaho State Penitentiary once
Yeah.
when I was it was in the daytime too, because I don't have like the money to rent out the place at night or anything,
Yeah.
like I was
Yep.
just visiting.
Yep.
But I was visiting with my equipment, and I was videoing in the solitary confinement area, and on video you can hear me like going from each cell, and I'm kind of explaining my feeling at each cell. I'm like, okay, this one I don't feel anything. This one's kind of feels weird. This one feels off. And then I get to this one and I was like, oh, this one is really scary. I don't know why, but this one gives me a major vibe. And all of the other ones I had gone into the cell because they were open. And this one I couldn't even bring myself to go inside. I was just like, something's weird about this. And I stick my head in with my camera and I kind of pan it over. And it's this tiny cell just with a small skylight up above. And I pan over, and then that's that. I don't see anything at the time. And then when I review my video later, you can see the it was actually like a negative effect of the silhouette of a broad-shouldered tall man in the
Wow.
corner of the cell, which is interesting. I've never had that. I've never seen that before with my equipment.
Yeah.
Later on, like that, it was like because it was a dark cell, it wasn't a shadow. It was like it ended up kind of that greenish, like negative effect, almost
Sure.
like
Yeah. Sure.
yeah. That's hard to explain, but yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah. See, I get chills over that. Like, I love that aspect, the accidental things. That's like, then you look back, and that we had a neighbor of ours share. She saw the podcast, and then so she says, "Hey, I had an experience 2 houses down from you all," and I was like, "Well, send me the picture. Send me the picture." And sure enough, she was on the bed with her dog, and she was taking a picture of her dog. And at first, she didn't notice anything. Then this had been 3 weeks after the death of her father. Okay, so she takes the picture, and then in the background there's a mirror. Well, in the mirror is the reflection, it laying on the bed, of what resembled her father, and it's clear as, and the picture, it absolutely shows the reflection of a man in the mirror laying in the bed that she was laying in, and it was like one of the most like, oh, okay, that'll give you chills.
Wow.
Yeah. That's awesome.
No kidding. And see, that's like it's funny because I think a lot of people expect us though to always have that kind of evidence, like that kind of thing, like how the ghost hunting shows, they have like these huge pieces of evidence, these huge things that they catch, but that stuff actually doesn't happen all the time, where you catch a picture and it's like a full-bodied apparition. That's great.
Now, all right, so on the other side, would you say that, like, if you go into an investigation, right, and then you find that you don't really find anything, or you find maybe there's something practical that could be making those noises, or what? How do you feel about that? I mean, do you let the people know? Do you say, I really didn't feel anything here? How do you approach that?
Personally, I absolutely let them know that I don't feel anything. Maybe almost to my detriment sometimes. I'm a very open, honest, transparent person. And I'm also very based in like, you know, I don't want to say science, but like I'm there to prove that something is actually there, and I'm not going to just, you know, not find anything and then be like, but I feel that there might still be something here. I will tell them for real. Like, I didn't find anything, you know. I don't have any problem with telling people that, and I kind of just take a really straightforward approach to that, especially if there are reasons why things might be happening, you know, the creaky floor, the open window, or whatever. I definitely think it's important to point out those things so that when you do find actual evidence of the paranormal, I feel like it makes it more credible. I don't want just everything to be ghosts as an explanation, you know?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So what advice would you give someone new getting into the field? Like and start from like the basics, like equipment wise, at mindset. What advice would you give someone just entering this or wanting to get into it?
My advice, first and foremost, would be that regardless of what equipment you have, to just do it, which sounds really simple, but I think that there's this idea that you need to own all of this fancy, expensive equipment, and, you know, you need to have a video camera and an Instagram or whatever to get your ghost hunting started. But you don't need any of that. You could have a phone and, you know, one K2 meter or something, and that's how you can get started. And second to that, I would say just make sure that you're doing everything legally and not trespassing when you're not supposed to. At least in my city, I know we have a lot of like locations that are known to be haunted, but you're not supposed to go to them without somebody guiding you, or you're not supposed to go at night. And I do not encourage people trespassing or doing things you're not supposed to. But yeah, I really think you could just start though with like a K2 meter, like I said, is a really good piece of equipment. A flashlight, you can do a lot with a flashlight. Do like a flashlight session where you unscrew it as much as possible, and then, you know, a spirit can communicate through turning the flashlight on and off. I don't know if you've ever done that.
No.
You know, there's lots of ways to even manipulate like everyday objects in order to try to conduct a thorough investigation. But yeah, just get out there and do it, and find other people who want to do it with you, which is something that I am working on as well, because I don't want to do this alone. It's fun to do with other people. It
is. It's fun to have a group, and you talk about it after. It's kind of part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So what do you have coming up soon? Do you have any cool places that you're going to, that you have lined up? Like you got back from an awesome, amazing trip to New Orleans. Do you have anywhere else lined up that you plan on going and investigating?
Sure. So I have a small investigation planned next Monday at a local bar. But then as far as like any trips, I am planning on going to Salem in April.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, that's a big one.
Yeah. That's my next big one. Yeah. And I want to go over, so I'm in Washington State. So Salem, Massachusetts is a very big flight for me, but I'd like to, fly over there and then rent a car and try to explore a lot of what that area has to offer, like Danvers and, you know, other places over there. I plan on doing that in April for a big birthday that I have in April.
Well, keep me updated. Okay. Let me know what you find. And if you're ever in the middle of Virginia, be sure to let us know. Okay. We'd love to tag along and, form a big group and go out and hunt in our area with you. So
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for, responding to such a weird request to someone you don't know on Instagram, but I love social media. I love connecting, and thank you for allowing me to kind of ask you a few questions about it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I love talking to other people who are interested in the paranormal like me. So.
Be sure to check out our website at hillcityparanormal.com, and thank you for listening.